Welcome to Deep Dive. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. Let's dive in and grow together.
All right, welcome back for another deep dive. Last time we left off with Arjuna kind of in a tough spot.
Yeah.
He's facing a battle against his own family, and he's grappling with, is violence ever okay? Is non-action the path to liberation?
Right.
All this stuff that Kṛṣṇa was explaining in Chapter 2.
Chapter 2 really set the stage for understanding Arjuna's inner turmoil.
Yeah.
And how he was really drawn to this idea of withdrawing from the battle altogether.
It makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
Like if you cause harm, that's bad. So if you don't do anything, you're not going to cause any harm.
Right, but that's where his understanding was a bit limited.
Yeah.
He was drawn to this idea of jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, thinking that just renouncing action was the solution.
Right.
But Chapter 3 really, we see Arjuna's confusion deepening even further.
It gets juicy. So
Yeah.
Chapter 3 opens, and Arjuna's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If knowledge is the highest path, why are you telling me to fight this war?
Exactly.
This seems contradictory.
It does, and that question really sets the stage for exploring this whole concept of karma yoga,
Yeah.
the path of action,
Okay.
which is really the core theme of Chapter 3.
So before we jump into all of that, can we rewind for a second?
Sure.
What was Kṛṣṇa trying to get across in Chapter 2 when he was talking about non-action?
Well, he was emphasizing the importance of acting without attachment to the results.
Right.
So it wasn't about literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
It was about performing actions with a sense of detachment,
Okay.
offering them up to a higher purpose.
So less about physical inactivity and more about a mental shift.
Exactly.
A mental shift. And that's what Arjuna seems to get a little tripped up on.
Right.
He interprets non-action as complete withdrawal from the world,
Yeah.
which Kṛṣṇa is saying is impossible.
Yeah, you can't escape action altogether. Everyone is constantly engaged in action, whether physically, mentally.
Even if you're just sitting there.
Even if you're sitting still, your mind is working, your heart is beating, your body's doing all sorts of things.
Your body's doing stuff.
It's just the nature of existence.
The nature of existence. So the real question isn't whether to act, but how to act.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's where karma yoga comes in.
That's it.
All right, so let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
What exactly is karma yoga?
Well, it's often translated as the path of selfless action or the yoga of action.
Yeah.
But in essence, it's about performing your duties, fulfilling your responsibilities, but without being attached to the outcomes.
That sounds challenging.
It is.
How do you detach yourself from the results of your actions?
That's a great question, and we'll delve deeper into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But for now, imagine a surgeon performing a life-saving operation.
Okay.
Their focus is on utilizing their skills and knowledge to the best of their ability,
Right.
not on whether the patient will live or die.
Okay, they're not letting their personal anxieties or desires for a certain outcome get in the way.
Right.
They're just focusing on the action itself.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of karma yoga.
Yeah.
It liberates you from the burden of worrying about the results,
Okay.
which can often lead to anxiety and disappointment.
Right.
So, yeah.
So is Kṛṣṇa saying that we shouldn't care about the outcome of our actions at all?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's not about becoming indifferent or apathetic.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we don't have complete control over the results.
Okay.
The universe has its own way of unfolding.
Sometimes things don't go as planned.
Right, and sometimes things are just out of our hands.
Yeah. So if we're not supposed to be attached to the outcomes, what should motivate our actions?
Well, Kṛṣṇa says our motivation should come from a sense of duty,
Okay.
or dharma.
Dharma.
And he introduces this concept of svadharma,
Okay.
which can be understood as one's unique purpose or path in life.
So we're not just talking about any action, but actions that are aligned with our individual purpose.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our unique talents and skills and inclinations and using those to contribute to the world in a meaningful way.
Okay. This reminds me of something you mentioned earlier. Work is a form of worship.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to think about karma yoga.
Yeah.
It's about approaching our work, our duties, our interactions with a sense of reverence, offering them up as a sacrifice to a higher power.
That's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing work as this chore, it's like an opportunity for spiritual growth and connection.
Exactly. And this concept is really deeply rooted in the ancient Vedic tradition of yajña.
Yajña, we've talked about that before, right?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yajña was a ritualistic offering made to the gods.
Right.
a way to maintain this cosmic balance and harmony.
Right.
And Kṛṣṇa cleverly connects this idea to karma yoga,
Okay.
suggesting that all our actions can become a form of yajña, a sacred offering.
So even if we're doing something that seems really mundane, if we approach it with the right intention, it can be an act of devotion.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm starting to see how this could be incredibly empowering. Yeah, it takes the pressure off needing to control everything and reframes our actions as a way to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
It's a truly liberating way to live.
Yeah.
And in the next part, we'll delve deeper into the different types of actions that Kṛṣṇa outlines,
Okay.
and how understanding those can help us apply these principles of karma yoga in our daily lives.
This is getting really fascinating. Can't wait to unpack it further.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So last time, we were talking about how work can be a form of worship.
It's a really radical idea, isn't it?
It is. It really challenges that Sunday best mentality.
Yeah.
Like we can bring that sense of the sacred into every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, that's the heart of what Kṛṣṇa is trying to convey here. He's not asking Arjuna to abandon his responsibilities, but to approach them with a different mindset, a more, mindful and detached approach.
But that's where I get stuck. Like, it sounds great in theory, but how do we actually apply that in the real world?
Right.
I can't just walk into my boss's office and say, hey, I'm offering up this spreadsheet as a sacrifice to Vishnu.
Right. It's not about outward rituals or pronouncements.
Yeah.
It's about this inner transformation,
Yeah, what's
the
that?
shift in attitude.
Yeah.
And one way to cultivate that is by understanding the different types of actions that Kṛṣṇa outlined.
Oh, yeah, he mentions these three categories, right?
Exactly. He talks about nitya karma, naimittika karma, and kamya karma.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference between those three?
Well, think of nitya karma as your essential daily duties.
Okay.
Things like taking care of your basic needs, your family, your responsibilities at work.
Okay, yeah.
These are the foundational actions that create structure and stability in your life.
Those make sense. So what about naimittika karma?
These are occasional duties.
Okay.
Things that come up from time to time.
Right.
It could be attending a wedding, helping a friend in need, or responding to some kind of unexpected challenge.
Got it. So those are actions that aren't part of your daily routine, but still carry that sense of obligation or duty.
Exactly. And then finally, we have kamya karma, actions that are driven by a specific desire for a particular outcome.
So this is where it gets a little tricky,
Yes.
because our desires can lead to attachment and disappointment.
Exactly. Kṛṣṇa isn't saying that kamya karma is inherently bad, but he's cautioning us to be mindful of the motivations behind our actions.
Right.
Are we acting out of genuine need, or are we being driven by ego, greed, the pursuit of pleasure?
It's like that saying, be careful what you wish for, you might just get it.
Right?
And sometimes our desires can lead us down a path that ultimately brings us more suffering than happiness.
Absolutely. And it brings us back to this idea of inner renunciation, which we touched upon earlier.
Yeah, this whole concept of inner renunciation really resonates with me. I think it's something we all struggle with, especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about achievement, success,
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that external validation, the need to prove ourselves, to accumulate possessions.
Yeah.
But true freedom comes from letting go of that attachment to outcomes.
It's about finding contentment and fulfillment in the present moment, in the act of doing, rather than in the promise of some future reward.
Exactly. And that's where understanding these different types of karma can be so helpful.
Yeah.
It allows us to examine our motivations and choose actions that are aligned with our dharma, our higher purpose.
Okay, so if we can master the art of performing our nitya and naimittika karma with that detachment and sense of offering, those actions can become a pathway to spiritual growth.
Absolutely. And even when it comes to kamya karma, we can learn to approach our desires with more awareness, choosing those that are aligned with our highest good, letting go of those that are driven by ego or attachment.
I'm starting to see how this ties back into the leadership lessons you were mentioning before.
Yeah.
Like if we want to be effective leaders, we need to act from a place of clarity, purpose, detachment,
Right.
not from a place of fear or self-interest.
That's such an important insight. True leadership isn't about wielding power or seeking personal gain.
Right.
It's about inspiring and empowering others, serving a greater good.
And that requires us to have this deep understanding of our own motivations, our own desires,
Yes.
and to be willing to let go of that attachment to outcomes.
Exactly. And Kṛṣṇa, in his own actions, provides a really powerful example of this.
Yep.
He has no personal need to fight in this war, but he chooses to participate out of a sense of duty, to uphold Dharma.
To guide Arjuna toward liberation.
Right. It's like he's saying, look, even I, the divine, am not above action.
Right.
But the way I act is what sets me apart.
Yeah.
He's demonstrating the essence of karma yoga, leading by example.
This is all starting to make so much sense. But there's still one piece I'm grappling with. It's the whole connection between knowledge and action.
Okay.
How do those two intertwine in the context of karma yoga?
That's a great question, and it really leads us to one of the most profound insights of the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
The true path to liberation isn't about choosing between knowledge and action.
Okay.
It's about integrating them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, Kṛṣṇa teaches that true knowledge should inform and inspire our actions.
Yeah.
And through selfless action, our understanding of the world deepens, leading to greater wisdom.
Okay.
It's this cyclical process of growth and evolution.
So it's like this beautiful dance between knowing and doing, each one informing and enriching the other.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. And in the next part, we'll explore how this dance plays out in the real world.
Yeah.
How we can cultivate this delicate balance between knowledge and action in our own lives.
This is getting really good. Can't wait to continue the deep dive.
Me too.
Welcome back. We're in the thick of it now, exploring this whole karma yoga thing and the idea that knowledge and action aren't at odds with each other, but actually can work together.
Yeah, they're partners in our journey.
Partners, not enemies.
It's a dance, as you said.
A dance.
Mhm.
We got to learn those steps, though.
Yeah.
And I think Kṛṣṇa illustrates this beautifully in chapter 3. He's telling that creation story,
Oh, yeah.
about the Lord of all creatures sending forth these generations of men and demigods,
Yeah.
along with sacrifices for Vishnu,
Right.
and saying, be happy by this yajña, talking about sacrifice.
Yes.
Because it's going to bestow upon you everything you need to live happily and achieve liberation.
It's like he's connecting this ancient ritual of yajña to the very act of creation itself,
Yeah, like selfless action is just baked into existence.
right into the fabric of everything.
Right, that's how it all began.
And by reminding Arjuna of this story, he's emphasizing how even the divine engages in action
Yeah,
in a selfless way
unselfishly.
for the well-being of all creation.
For everyone. It's amazing. And it goes back to your point about how Kṛṣṇa is like the ultimate karma yogi.
Yes, he's the best example.
The best example. He's walking the walk, doesn't need to fight this war,
No?
but he's choosing to do it.
Out of duty.
Sense of duty, commitment to Dharma,
Yes.
powerful stuff. So even if we don't always see those immediate results from what we're doing,
Right. Sometimes you don't see the fruit of the actions immediately.
you don't see it. But that intention matters.
Absolutely, the intention behind it.
And when we act selflessly,
Yeah.
we're offering these efforts up to something bigger.
Yes, for the benefit of the whole.
And that gets us back to this work as worship idea.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to look at it.
It's a beautiful way to think about it. It's like if we can approach those daily tasks, those things we have to do,
Responsibilities?
responsibilities,
Yeah.
but do them with this offering in mind.
Yeah, contributing to something larger than ourselves.
We're shifting our perspective.
You're totally changing how you look at everything.
Absolutely.
Instead of it being a burden or a means to an end, you see it as an opportunity
It's like an opportunity.
to express your dharma, to use your skills and talents to really make a difference.
Wow.
Yeah,
And we're not just contributing to other people's well-being.
right. It also brings inner peace.
We get inner peace out of this.
Yeah.
It's win-win.
Totally. And that's the beauty of karma yoga. It's not about renouncing the world, escaping our responsibilities. It's about transforming how we see action.
How we relate to it
Yes.
with mindfulness, with detachment.
In a spirit of service.
Yeah, sense of service.
It's about finding that sweet spot where our actions are an expression of our highest self.
Yeah, like we're reflecting that divine connection.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And when we live from that place, we experience a profound sense of liberation,
Liberation.
both internally and externally. We free ourselves from all of those chains, the ego, the attachment,
Yeah.
and we become real instruments of positive change.
Wow, what a beautiful thought. I came to this deep dive a little confused about this whole knowledge versus action thing.
Yeah.
How could they coexist on the path to liberation?
Right.
But now I see how beautifully they work together,
They do.
each enriching the other.
It's a constant back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah.
It's a journey of growth and evolution. And the more we learn and understand, the more effectively we can act.
Yeah.
And the more we act with mindfulness and detachment, the more we learn about ourselves, the world around us.
So it's not just reading the books.
Right.
It's not just sitting here talking about it.
Yeah, it's about taking action.
It's about taking action.
Yeah, and bringing wisdom into your daily life.
Wow.
As we do that, as we cultivate the spirit of karma yoga, we step into our true power.
We step into our power.
And we become beacons of light and change.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What a way to wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 3. Really inspiring stuff. And I hope you, our listener, are feeling ready to embrace these principles of karma yoga in your own life.
Absolutely.
Remember, the path to liberation isn't about escaping.
No.
It's about transforming.
It's about changing how you look at things.
Yeah.
And that change begins with a single mindful action.
So until next time, keep diving deep. And remember, every action can be an offering.
Yeah.
Every moment is an opportunity to connect with the divine inside and out.
Absolutely.